The princess thought he was just an apprentice until apex predators stepped back. The ship was alive with activity, filled with alien voices, glowing lights, and the low hum of the engines. Ethan was a human among many different species, and most of them did not pay much attention to him. He was young, small, and still learning the ways of space travel and alien technology. That was fine with him. He liked watching and learning. Ethan's mentor, an older human named Carter, had taught him many things. Carter had been a soldier once, a human who had seen the galaxy at its most dangerous. But now he spent his days teaching humans like Ethan how to survive, how to think quickly, and how to use both their brains and their hands to solve problems. Carter often said, "The galaxy respects cleverness more than strength, and humans have cleverness in their bones." Ethan liked that saying. He repeated it to himself often. Today, however, Ethan's calm routine would change. The princess of the alien empire, Leora, would be aboard the training decks. Leora was tall, elegant, and had sharp eyes that could see everything. She carried herself like she owned the universe, though she was still very young. Ethan had met her a few times before. Every time, she had looked at him with polite amusement, as if he were a small child playing at being a human. He stopped at the entrance of the training deck and peeked inside. The room was large and filled with floating platforms, moving holograms, and alien weapons that glowed with strange energy. Several alien soldiers were running drills, jumping from platform to platform with ease. Leora stood in the center observing, her long robes brushing the floor. Her eyes scanned everyone carefully. "Look at that human," she said softly to a guard standing nearby. "Does he even know how to hold a weapon?" The guard chuckled quietly. "He tries, Your Highness." "That is all we can ask for." Ethan did not hear them, but he felt the weight of their stares. He took a deep breath and stepped onto the training deck. The platforms shifted under his feet. His hands were steady, but his heart beat faster. He knew he had to do his best. "Good morning, Apprentice," Leora said, her voice calm but sharp. "Today we will test everyone in the combat simulator. Let us see how clever you really are." Ethan nodded, though he felt a pang of nervousness. He had trained for this, but he had never been in the same room with Leora during a real test. The other apprentices, all aliens, moved confidently to the start positions. Ethan was last. The simulation began. Holographic targets appeared around the room, shifting and changing. Ethan reached for the controls, his fingers moving quickly. He focused on timing, on angles, on understanding the flow of the simulation. But no matter how hard he tried, he stumbled. One platform slipped beneath him, and he almost fell. Leora's sharp eyes caught the movement. She laughed quietly. It was not cruel, but light, teasing, and it made Ethan blush. He tried not to look at her. "Just an apprentice," she muttered under her breath, shaking her head. The simulation grew more difficult. Lights flashed, alarms rang, and the platforms moved faster. Ethan's training kicked in. He remembered what Carter had told him about using the environment to his advantage. He looked at the moving platforms, the glowing walls, and the holographic enemies. Slowly, carefully, he began to move with them instead of against them. Leora noticed. She stopped laughing and tilted her head. She had seen many young humans fail, but something about Ethan's movements made her pause. There was thought behind every action. He did not rely on speed or strength alone. He thought. He planned. He reacted in ways that no one else did. The simulation ended with a loud alarm. All the apprentices had finished. Ethan's score was not the highest, but it was above average, and the aliens who trained daily looked at him with surprise. Leora's eyes narrowed slightly. She did not understand it yet, but she felt a curiosity growing. After the simulation, the apprentices gathered around the training deck. Leora walked toward them, her presence commanding attention. She stopped in front of Ethan and studied him closely. "You are slow," she said, her voice calm. "But you move differently from the others. Why is that?" Ethan blinked. I watch first," he said simply. "Then I act." Leora tilted her head. That was not the answer she expected. Most humans were impulsive, she had heard, but this one paused, studied, and then moved. "Interesting. Perhaps you are better than I thought," she said softly, almost to herself. Then she smiled, a small, curious smile. "Maybe I will watch you more closely." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. It was strange to be noticed by the princess, even if she had laughed at him moments before. He looked at her carefully. There was no mockery in her eyes now, only curiosity. Later that day, the crew received orders to visit the planet Varnock. The mission was simple: collect rare minerals for the Empire. The planet was known for its dangerous wildlife, but the crew was experienced. Leora would go along, as always, to observe her people and her kingdom. Ethan packed his gear carefully. Carter had taught him everything he could for survival on alien worlds. He checked his weapons, his energy supplies, and the small tools hidden in his belt. He was ready, or as ready as he could be. On the shuttle to Varnock, Ethan sat quietly, watching the stars pass by. Leora sat across from him, her robes neatly folded, her eyes staring at the planet below. For a moment she spoke. "You are brave to come along," she said. "Most humans would stay behind on the ship." Ethan shrugged. "I want to learn," he said simply. "And I want to help if I can." Leora studied him carefully. She had expected a small, scared human, but this one, he had calm in his eyes. There was something about him that made her feel that he might survive when others would not. The shuttle landed on Varnock with a gentle thud. The crew disembarked, stepping onto the strange, red soil of the planet. Towering rocks and twisted alien trees surrounded them. The air was thick, slightly humid, and alive with the sounds of creatures moving in the distance. Ethan felt a shiver, but he pushed it down. He had trained for this. "Stay close," Leora said. "The planet is beautiful but also dangerous. Apex predators live here and they do not forgive mistakes." Ethan nodded, moving closer to the princess. He wanted to protect her, even though he was just an apprentice. He wanted to prove, at least to himself, that humans could be more than what aliens thought they were. As the group moved deeper into the forest of Varnock, Ethan noticed tracks on the ground. Large footprints with sharp claw marks leading deeper into the shadows. Most of the alien crew ignored them, assuming they were from small creatures. Ethan studied them carefully. "These are not small," he said quietly. "Watch your step." Leora glanced at him, curious. "You understand these tracks?" "Yes," Ethan said. "These are predators, apex predators, very dangerous. They could be watching us right now." The aliens laughed lightly. They had seen humans underestimate danger before, but Leora looked at Ethan differently. His eyes were steady, his voice calm, and there was no fear in him. She felt a spark of something, respect perhaps, or maybe curiosity. The group continued, unaware that hidden in the shadows, eyes were watching. The apex predators of Varnock stirred, sensing the presence of new creatures. The hunt had begun. And Ethan Collins, the quiet human apprentice, had no idea how much he would be needed in the moments to come. The forest of Varnock was quiet at first, almost peaceful. Tall alien trees with twisted branches formed a green canopy that blocked most of the sunlight. Strange birds with glowing feathers called out in distant cries. The air smelled damp and earthy, and the red soil crunched softly under the crew's boots. Ethan moved carefully, watching the tracks he had seen earlier. The predators that left them were not ordinary creatures. They were apex predators, top of the food chain. Few had survived encounters with them, and no human had ever faced them before. Ethan felt a tension in the air, a warning that danger was near. The princess walked a few steps ahead of him, elegant as ever, her robes flowing over the ground. She noticed Ethan keeping pace with her, almost silently. Most of the alien crew had noticed the tracks but paid little attention. They had weapons and armor, and they believed that was enough to face any danger. "Why do you watch the ground so carefully?" Leora asked. Ethan pointed to the tracks. "These are not small creatures. They are hunters, apex predators. They watch, wait, and strike when you least expect it." The aliens around them laughed. One of the guards, a tall creature with blue skin named Tarak, smirked. "Humans always overthink. We will be fine. Weapons are enough." Ethan shook his head slightly. "Weapons are not enough here. These predators are smart. They will use the forest against us." Leora glanced at him. There was no fear in his voice, only calm. That calm made her curious. Humans were often seen as weak and clumsy by her people. But this one seemed different. As they walked deeper, the forest grew darker. The trees became taller and shadows stretched in strange shapes. The wind moved through the branches, creating a low, whispering sound that made the hairs on Ethan's arms rise. He slowed his steps, paying attention to every noise, every movement. Then he heard it, a low growl, deep and resonant, vibrating through the soil. The other crew members froze, unsure of what had made the sound. Tarak raised his weapon and looked around. Probably a wild animal. "Nothing we cannot handle." Ethan did not speak. He moved silently to the side of the group, eyes scanning the shadows. The growl came again, louder this time and closer. He felt the ground beneath his boots vibrate slightly as if a giant creature was moving nearby. "Everyone stay calm," he whispered. "We are being watched." The crew exchanged nervous glances. Leora's sharp eyes scanned the shadows. For the first time, she felt a shiver of real concern. She had seen predators before, but nothing like this. These creatures were large, intelligent, and silent. They did not rush to attack, they waited for the perfect moment. Suddenly, a massive shape emerged from the shadows. It was taller than any alien soldier, with dark scales that shimmered in the dim light. Its eyes glowed faintly red. The apex predator moved with terrifying grace, silent but deadly. The crew froze. Weapons were raised, but the predator made no move to strike. It simply observed. Ethan stepped forward slightly, keeping himself between the predator and the princess. "Stay behind me," he said calmly. His voice carried a confidence that surprised even him. He did not feel fear, only focus. He studied the creature carefully, noticing the way it shifted its weight, the slight twitch of its tail, the way it moved silently over the soil. Leora gasped. "It is huge. How can anyone survive this?" Ethan looked at her. "We will survive by being clever, not by fighting it head-on." The predator growled again, low and menacing. The crew moved closer together, forming a tight circle. Tarek stepped forward. "We will kill it, fire everything." Ethan shook his head. "No, that will make it attack. We need to make it hesitate." He remembered what Carter had taught him. Apex predators always tested their opponents. They attacked only when they were sure of success. Fear made humans predictable. Calm made humans dangerous. Ethan grabbed a long stick from the forest floor and threw it far to the side, creating a distraction. The predator's head snapped toward the movement, and its glowing eyes followed the stick. Ethan moved quietly behind it, making careful notes of its position. "See that?" he whispered to Leora. "It noticed movement. Now we can guide it without fighting." Leora watched, amazed. The human, small and seemingly weak, was moving with confidence among the forest and the predator. The alien soldiers looked on, uncertain, their weapons still ready but unsure what to do. Suddenly, another predator appeared from the trees, even larger and darker. It was silent, its muscles rippling as it crouched low. The group froze again. Two apex predators were now watching them. "Keep calm," Ethan whispered. "Do not make sudden movements. Follow my lead." He guided the princess and the crew to a narrow path between two cliffs. The predators followed at a distance, curious but cautious. Ethan placed small rocks on the ground in a pattern, making subtle noises to mislead the predators. They responded exactly as he expected, pausing and watching, unsure of what he was doing. "Ethan, how do you know this?" Leora asked softly. "I have studied them," he said. "Carter taught me, watch patterns, notice reactions, stay calm. They are smart but predictable." Leora felt a strange respect growing. She had underestimated humans, thinking them small and weak. But this human, he was different. He thought, he planned, he acted with precision. He could survive where others would fall. The predators suddenly paused. Ethan realized they were testing him, learning his limits. He moved a few steps forward, making small noises with his boots, then stopped. One predator growled but did not attack. Ethan used this moment to guide the group deeper into the cliffs, moving slowly but steadily. Hours seemed to pass. The forest grew darker, the shadows longer. The group was tense, but Ethan kept them moving with quiet confidence. He noticed small plants, shallow streams, and hidden rocks. He used them to mislead the predators, creating false paths and distractions. Finally, they reached a small cave system. It was hidden behind thick vines and jagged rocks. Ethan checked it carefully, making sure it was safe. "This will be our shelter for now," he said. "We can rest and plan our next move." The crew entered cautiously, setting down their packs and checking their weapons. The predators circled outside but did not follow. Ethan had created enough obstacles and distractions to keep them at bay. Leora looked at him, astonished. You saved us." "And we have not even been attacked directly." Ethan shrugged. "They were watching. I only guided them. We have to understand them before we act." The alien soldiers whispered among themselves, amazed. They had relied on strength and weapons for years. And yet this human had survived where they would have failed. Leora approached him. "Ethan, you are not like I thought. You are remarkable." Ethan felt his cheeks warm. He had never received praise like this from a princess. He smiled quietly. "I only do what I can." That is all. The forest outside remained alive with movement. Shadows shifted, and the low growls continued. Ethan and Leora sat near the entrance of the cave, watching carefully. For the first time, the princess felt that humans might have a place among the galaxy's strongest creatures. Hours passed, and the predators eventually withdrew into the forest. Ethan had guided the group far enough into the cliffs and used enough distractions that the predators decided it was not worth the effort. "That was incredible," Leora said softly. "I thought you were just an apprentice, but you are much more than that." Ethan shook his head. "I am only human. Humans survive by thinking, that is all." Leora smiled, a small, genuine smile. She felt a respect for Ethan that she had never felt for another human. He was clever, calm, and brave. He was small, but his mind and courage were larger than most she had met. As night fell over Varnock, the group rested in the cave. Ethan kept watch, his eyes scanning the darkness outside. He knew the predators could return at any moment, and he would be ready. For the first time, Leora saw the value of a human apprentice, not just as a learner, but as a protector. She realized that the galaxy underestimated humans, and that underestimation could be dangerous. And Ethan Collins, quiet, careful, and unassuming, had already begun to change the way she saw the universe. The cave where Ethan and the crew had taken shelter was small but safe. Outside, the forest of Varnock was alive with movement. Strange noises echoed through the trees, and every now and then the low growl of a predator rumbled from deep within the shadows. Ethan sat near the entrance, his eyes scanning every flicker of movement, every shadow, and every sound. Princess Leora watched him quietly. She had never seen a human so calm under such dangerous conditions. Most of the alien warriors would have panicked or attacked blindly. But Ethan, he was thinking, planning, and staying aware. It was impressive. She had underestimated him, and now she could not ignore his skill. "Ethan," she said softly, "how do you know what to do? How do you know where they will strike?" Ethan looked at her and smiled faintly. "I watch their movements. I study them. Apex predators are smart, but they have patterns. They think before they attack. If we understand them, we can survive." Leora nodded slowly. She had seen it herself. The predators had followed them for hours, testing and observing, but they had not attacked directly. It was as if they were learning, and Ethan had learned them first. The crew tried to rest, but fear made sleep difficult. Ethan used this time to examine their surroundings. He noticed small rocks that could be moved to create noise, fallen branches that could act as traps, and vines that could tie and slow creatures down. He worked quietly, preparing the cave for what might come next. Hours passed, and the forest grew darker. The shadows outside stretched long and strange, almost alive. Ethan could sense the predators circling closer again. They had retreated at nightfall, but he knew it would not be long before they returned. "They are coming back," he said quietly. The princess looked at him, eyes wide. "How do you know?" she asked. Ethan pointed to the ground outside the cave. "The tracks. They are moving again. And the way the wind shifts tells me they are approaching carefully. They are smart. They wait for the right moment." Leora's heart raced. She realized the danger they were in. Even with the guards and weapons, they were not prepared to face the predators directly. But Ethan had a plan. As the first predator emerged from the shadows, Ethan was ready. He had set up small traps using rocks and vines. When the predator stepped on a certain patch of soil, a noise echoed, confusing it. The creature growled and looked around, clearly unsure. Ethan used this moment to lead the crew a few steps forward, deeper into the cave system. "Stay quiet," he whispered. "Move slowly. Do not make sudden movements." The predator growled again, its glowing eyes searching the shadows. It did not strike. It was testing, just as Ethan had predicted. He led the group through hidden paths, using small crevices and rocks for cover. The predator followed at a distance, unable to predict Ethan's clever maneuvers. Leora could hardly believe her eyes. She had thought of humans as weak and clumsy. But this one human, an apprentice, was guiding them safely through a forest full of apex predators. Her respect for him grew with every step. Suddenly, another predator appeared, larger and darker than the first. It crouched low in the shadows, its muscles tense. The group froze. Most of the alien crew raised their weapons, ready to attack, but Ethan shook his head. "Do not fight," he said calmly. "We will survive by being clever, not by strength." He pointed to a narrow path between two cliffs. "Follow me, use the rocks and vines, we will confuse them." The crew followed carefully. Ethan moved ahead, placing small obstacles and creating subtle noises. The predators hesitated, growling but uncertain. They had not expected such cleverness. "Ethan," Leora whispered, "how are you doing this?" "I think," he said simply, "and I watch, that is all." The predators moved closer, but Ethan led the group deeper into the cliffs, where the terrain became more dangerous. Large rocks jutted out, creating narrow paths and hidden spaces. Ethan used these to his advantage, guiding the predators through false paths and making them doubt their approach. Hours passed as the group carefully navigated the cliffs. Ethan remained calm, never rushing, always alert. He used his knowledge of predator behavior to predict their movements. Every trap he set, every rock he displaced, and every noise he created worked to confuse the creatures. At one point, a predator lunged from the shadows, faster than anyone expected. Ethan reacted instantly, throwing a rock to the side. The predator's attention shifted, and it crashed into a hidden vine trap, slowing it down. The crew gasped, amazed at Ethan's quick thinking. Leora could hardly believe what she saw. "He is incredible," she whispered. "I thought he was just an apprentice." Ethan led them to a narrow cliff ledge. He checked every detail, making sure it was safe. "We can rest here," he said. "The predators will not follow too close. They will watch, but they will not risk the cliffs." The crew settled down, exhausted but safe for now. Leora watched Ethan closely. She could see the determination in his eyes, the careful calculation in every movement. He was not strong in the way her soldiers were, but he was brave and clever in ways she had never seen. "Why are humans like you so underestimated?" she asked softly. Ethan shrugged. "Most humans do not survive like this, but some we learn to think to be clever. That is our strength." Leora nodded slowly. She realized that humans had a unique ability to survive. They were unpredictable, adaptable, and brave in ways even her elite soldiers were not. As night fell, the predators retreated slightly, staying in the shadows but not leaving entirely. Ethan kept watch at the edge of the cliff, his eyes scanning every movement. He knew the predators would return and he wanted to be ready. The princess sat beside him, watching silently. "I thought you were just an apprentice," she said. "But you are more than that. You are remarkable." Ethan smiled faintly. "I only do what I can, that is all." The forest remained alive with danger. Strange noises echoed, and shadows moved in ways that made the hairs on their arms rise. Ethan knew that the predators were still watching, still learning, but he had a plan. He would use his mind, his knowledge, and his quick thinking to guide the group through the night. The alien crew whispered among themselves, amazed at what they had witnessed. Humans had always been underestimated, considered weak and fragile. But Ethan had proven that size and strength were not everything. Cleverness, courage, and calm could overcome even the deadliest predators. Hours passed, and the group survived the night. Ethan used every skill he had learned from Carter to guide them. He set small traps, used the terrain, and carefully led the predators away from the group. By morning, the forest seemed quieter. The predators had not attacked directly, but their presence was still a warning. Leora looked at Ethan with new respect. She had underestimated him at first, thinking he was just a small human apprentice. Now she saw that he was capable of thinking and acting in ways that even her elite soldiers could not. "You saved us," she said softly, "and we have not even fought yet." Ethan shook his head. "We survive by thinking first, not by fighting. Strength is not always enough." The princess nodded slowly. She realized that humans had a hidden strength, one that could not be measured by size or weapons. It was intelligence, bravery, and the ability to remain calm in the face of danger. The crew prepared to move again, following Ethan's guidance. The forest of Varnock remained dangerous, full of predators and unknown threats. But with Ethan leading the way, they had a chance to survive. Leora walked beside him, her eyes open with curiosity and respect. She had learned an important lesson: never underestimate a human, no matter how small or unassuming. Their courage and cleverness could turn the tide against even the deadliest creatures. And Ethan Collins, quiet, observant, and clever, had begun to show the true strength of humanity. The sun barely touched the thick forest of Varnock when Ethan Collins stepped carefully along the narrow cliff paths. The predators had not attacked during the night, but their presence was still felt. Large shadows moved between the trees, and distant growls echoed through the mist. Ethan's eyes scanned every detail. He knew that the creatures were intelligent, patient, and deadly. They were apex predators, and he had to be clever to survive. Princess Leora followed close behind, her steps quiet but deliberate. She had watched Ethan closely over the past day, learning more about him than she had about any other human or alien. He was not only brave, but he also thought quickly, predicting moves that others could not. Leora had begun to feel a mixture of admiration and amazement. This small human, who she had thought was just an apprentice, was already saving lives that day. The rest of the alien crew moved cautiously, their weapons ready. They had never seen anyone approach predators this way. Most would rush to fight, but Ethan moved with patience. He used the environment, the shadows, and even the predator's own instincts to guide the group safely. "They will strike soon," Ethan whispered to Leora. "The night gave them time to study us. Now they will test again." Leora nodded, her sharp eyes scanning the dark forest. "How can you be so calm? Even the bravest of my guards are nervous." Ethan smiled faintly. "Calm comes from understanding. If you know your enemy, fear becomes easier to manage." The forest shifted. A large predator emerged from the shadows, moving with terrifying grace. Its scales reflected faint sunlight, and its eyes glowed with a faint red light. The other predator, even larger, followed silently behind, crouching low like a shadow waiting to strike. The group froze. Weapons were raised, but Ethan did not flinch. "Follow me," he whispered. "Stay close and move quietly. We will not fight them directly. We will guide them." Ethan led them along a narrow path, using small rocks and broken branches to create noise at intervals. The predators reacted exactly as he expected. They stopped, growled, and shifted their direction, unsure of the path. Every step Ethan took was deliberate, designed to confuse and mislead them. Leora watched in amazement. "How do you know what they will do?" she whispered. "I study patterns," Ethan said. "Predators like these are smart, but they are not perfect. They react to movement, noise, and surprise. I use those reactions against them." The group reached a small clearing, surrounded by large trees and jagged rocks. Ethan quickly assessed the area. He noticed a few large boulders, fallen branches, and thick vines. These could be used as traps or barriers. "We will make a stand here," he said quietly. "The predators will test us. We will make them hesitate, then guide them away." The alien guards whispered among themselves, uncertain. This was not the usual way of fighting, but they followed Ethan's lead, trusting his judgment. Leora stayed close, feeling a mix of anxiety and awe. Ethan moved silently, placing small traps. He tied vines to rocks, set up branches to fall, and arranged loose soil to make noise when stepped on. Every detail was calculated. He even used his own scent and movement to confuse the predators, making them think the group was in different positions than they actually were. The first predator stepped into the clearing. Its eyes glowed faintly red, and it sniffed the air, trying to locate the humans. It moved slowly, carefully, almost like it was learning. The second predator followed, larger and even more dangerous, its muscles rippling as it crouched low. Ethan watched from the side. He stayed calm, his mind working quickly. He signaled the group to move behind a boulder. The predator noticed the movement and growled, but it stepped onto a trap Ethan had prepared. A branch snapped loudly, and the predator froze, confused. "Good," Ethan whispered. "Now move to the next cover." The group moved silently, following his instructions. The predators hesitated, unsure of what to do. They had expected to attack easily, but Ethan's cleverness created doubt in their minds. "Why are you so clever?" Leora whispered, amazed. "I thought humans were weak, but you—" "I learn quickly," Ethan said simply, "and I observe." "That is all." The predators growled louder, circling the clearing. Ethan noticed a small gap between two boulders. He motioned for the group to move through it carefully. The predators' attention was divided, and the humans moved without being seen. Once through the gap, Ethan used the terrain to his advantage. A steep slope led down to a narrow ravine. He positioned the group at the top, ready to guide the predators toward it. "When they attack, we will force them toward the ravine," he whispered. "Do not fight unless necessary. Use the terrain." The first predator lunged, faster than anyone expected. Ethan moved calmly, stepping aside and letting the creature's momentum carry it toward the traps he had set. A vine snapped and tangled its legs, slowing it down. The predator growled and struggled, confused by the sudden obstacle. The second predator followed, and Ethan guided it with subtle movements. He threw small rocks to mislead it, and it changed direction, stepping into a hidden pit he had noticed earlier. The creature froze, unsure how to proceed. The group watched in awe. Ethan had taken two massive apex predators and guided them without direct combat. His strategy, patience, and clever use of the environment were extraordinary. Leora could not hide her amazement. "He is incredible," she whispered. I thought humans were small and weak, but he is stronger than anyone here in ways we do not understand. Ethan continued to move, leading the predators deeper into the ravine area. He used shadows, obstacles, and noises to confuse them. Each step was calculated, designed to make the predators hesitate and doubt their approach. Hours passed. The predators began to retreat slowly, sensing the humans' cleverness and careful strategy. They were not defeated by force, but by intelligence and patience. Ethan had won without a single direct confrontation. The alien crew whispered among themselves. "This human, he is extraordinary," one guard said quietly. "I have never seen anything like it." Leora approached Ethan, her eyes wide with respect. "You saved us all. And you did it without fighting directly. How can a human be this clever?" Ethan shrugged. "We survive by thinking first, not by strength. That is all." The predators finally disappeared into the shadows, retreating into the forest. The group was safe for now. Ethan checked each member carefully, making sure no one was hurt. The alien soldiers looked at him with newfound respect, realizing that humans could be more than they had believed. Leora studied Ethan closely. She had underestimated him at first, thinking he was just a small apprentice. But he had proven his skill, intelligence, and courage. She realized that humans had a unique strength, cleverness, bravery, and calm under pressure. "You are more than an apprentice," Leora said softly. "You are a protector, a leader. I misjudged you." Ethan shook his head. "I am only human, that is all, but humans can survive when they use their minds." The group continued their journey through the cliffs and forest, guided by Ethan's careful planning. Each step was calculated, each movement designed to keep them safe. The predators had learned something as well. They could not attack humans who thought ahead, who used cleverness and observation instead of brute force. By evening, the group found a safe clearing. Ethan set small barriers and traps, making sure the predators could not follow easily. Leora watched him work, still amazed. She realized that humans had a hidden power, one that even the most skilled alien warriors could not match. "That is incredible," Leora whispered. "You are more than I imagined. You are extraordinary." Ethan smiled faintly. "I only do what I can, that is all." As night fell, the forest of Varnock grew quiet. The predators were still nearby, but they were cautious now, aware of the humans' cleverness. Ethan kept watch, making sure the group was safe. For the first time, Leora saw humans in a new light. They were underestimated by many, but their intelligence, courage, and ability to adapt made them capable of greatness. And Ethan Collins had shown her the full strength of a human mind in a deadly world. The group settled for the night, exhausted but alive. The predators had been guided away, and the humans had survived the deadliest hours. Leora stayed close to Ethan, realizing that this human apprentice had changed everything she thought about humans, courage, and survival. The forest was quiet now, but the lessons of the day were clear. Intelligence, patience, and cleverness could overcome even the fiercest predators. And in the midst of it all, Ethan Collins, quiet and unassuming, had proven that humans were capable of extraordinary things. The sun rose slowly over the forest of Varnock, casting a warm, reddish light across the twisted trees and jagged rocks. Ethan Collins stood at the edge of a cliff, scanning the forest below. The predators had retreated further into the shadows, but he knew they had not forgotten the humans. Apex predators were intelligent. They remembered patterns, mistakes, and clever opponents. Princess Leora walked beside him. She had stayed close all night, watching him as he planned and thought. She no longer saw Ethan as just an apprentice. He was brave, clever, and calm in a way that few could match. Her respect for him had grown into something deeper, trust and admiration. The alien soldiers gathered behind them, tired but safe. They had followed Ethan through the cliffs and forests, surviving challenges that would have destroyed lesser crews. They looked at him with a mixture of awe and newfound respect. "We must move carefully today," Ethan said quietly. "The predators may test us again, but we are ready. We have learned their patterns, and now we can guide them completely away." Leora nodded. "I trust you, Ethan." "Lead the way." The group began their journey through the cliffs, with Ethan guiding them carefully. Every step was calculated. He used rocks, fallen branches, and uneven terrain to create paths that misled the predators. They followed at a distance, growling and circling, but they did not attack directly. Ethan had studied their behavior for more than a day now. He knew their limits, their hesitation, and their patterns. He could predict their moves almost before they made them. He directed the group to a narrow valley with steep cliffs on either side. Here the predators' movements would be limited. "Stay close," Ethan whispered. "When we move through the valley, follow my lead exactly. Do not rush, do not fight. We will guide them away completely." The group nodded. They trusted Ethan now, after seeing his cleverness and bravery. Even the alien guards, once skeptical, had learned that humans could be more than what appearances suggested. As they moved through the valley, the first predator emerged. It was massive, muscles rippling under dark scales. Its red eyes glowed in the dim light. It growled low and slowly advanced, testing the humans. Ethan led the group carefully. He placed small obstacles in their path, creating noise and confusion. The predator paused, growled, and turned. It had expected a straight fight, but Ethan had created uncertainty. "Good," Ethan whispered to Leora. "We can control its movements now. Follow me quietly." The second predator appeared behind them, larger and more powerful. It crouched low, muscles tense, ready to strike. The alien soldiers tensed, ready for battle, but Ethan did not panic. He moved to a high rock and threw a small branch to the side. The predator's head snapped toward the sound. Another predator hesitated, unsure which direction to follow. Ethan led the group along a hidden path between rocks and cliffs. Every move was calculated, every sound intentional. Leora watched silently, amazed. "How can one human be this clever?" she whispered. "I observe and plan," Ethan said simply. "That is all humans need to survive." Hours passed as they guided the predators through the valley. The creatures were large, dangerous, and intelligent, but Ethan used their instincts against them. He misled them, creating false paths and traps. Rocks fell, branches snapped, and vines tangled, all guiding the predators away from the humans. At one point, a predator lunged unexpectedly. Ethan reacted instantly, throwing a small rock to the side. The predator's attention shifted, and it crashed into a trap he had prepared earlier. It growled and struggled, confused and disoriented. Leora gasped. She had never seen such precision and calm. The human, small and unassuming, had outsmarted the deadliest predators of Varnock. She felt awe and respect in equal measure. The alien guards followed Ethan's lead, carefully moving with the group. They whispered among themselves. "This human, he is extraordinary. We relied on strength, but he relied on thought, and it works." By late afternoon, the predators had been guided toward a dense part of the forest where movement was restricted. Ethan knew they could no longer easily reach the humans. He set final obstacles, fallen trees, rocks, and vines, to ensure the predators could not follow further. "Stay here," he said. "The predators will be unable to pursue us now. We are safe." The group settled, catching their breath. The alien soldiers looked around, realizing the humans had survived one of the deadliest forests in the galaxy, guided entirely by one small human apprentice. Leora approached Ethan, her eyes wide with admiration. "You have done more than any soldier or warrior could do," she said softly. "You are not just clever, you are brave, patient, and extraordinary. I misjudged you." Ethan shook his head. "I am only human, that is all." "Humans can survive by thinking, by observing, and by staying calm. That is our strength." Leora smiled, a genuine, warm smile. "I have learned something important. Humans are underestimated, but they have strength that others do not see. And you, Ethan Collins, have shown me the truth." The alien guards murmured in agreement. They had followed humans before, thinking them weak. But after witnessing Ethan's cleverness and courage, they understood that size and strength were not everything. Intelligence, patience, and strategy could overcome even the most dangerous creatures. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with red and gold, the group prepared to return to the starship. Ethan led the way, carefully navigating the cliffs and forest paths. The predators were no longer a threat. They had been misled, guided away, and prevented from attacking. Leora walked beside Ethan, keeping pace. She looked at him with new respect and trust. "I will never underestimate humans again," she said softly. Ethan smiled faintly. "I am glad you understand. Humans have a way of surviving, even when others think we cannot." The journey back to the shuttle was quiet but filled with reflection. The alien soldiers followed Ethan's guidance, their respect for him evident in their careful movements. Leora stayed close, observing him silently, learning from his calm and thoughtful approach. When they finally reached the shuttle, the crew boarded quickly. The predators were nowhere in sight, hidden by the forest and obstacles Ethan had set. The shuttle lifted off, rising above the trees and heading toward the starship. On board the shuttle, Leora stood before Ethan. You have changed the way I see humans, she said. I thought you were just an apprentice, small and weak, but you are extraordinary. Your mind, your courage, and your patience saved us all. Ethan looked at her, still humble. I did what I could, that is all. Humans have survived for a long time by using our minds. It is how we endure. Leora nodded slowly. I want to learn from you. Not just as an apprentice, but as someone who can teach me to think like humans do. You have shown me strength I never imagined. Ethan smiled faintly. I will teach what I can, but remember it is not strength alone that matters. Observation, patience, and cleverness can be more powerful than weapons. The alien guards looked at Ethan with a mix of awe and respect. They had seen him face apex predators without fear, without fighting directly, and without mistakes. He had survived and guided them all, proving that humans were more than they appeared to be. Leora stepped closer to Ethan. From now on, I will not underestimate you or any human, she said softly. You are a protector, a thinker, and a brave soul. And I am proud to have you here. Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. He had never expected praise from a princess, especially one who had once laughed at him. He had survived, guided others, and shown that humans could face challenges others thought impossible. As the shuttle approached the starship, the group looked out at the horizon. The forest of Varnock stretched below them, dangerous and wild, but now behind them. They had survived, guided by a human apprentice who had proven that cleverness, courage, and patience could overcome even the deadliest predators. The princess turned to Ethan again. The galaxy underestimates humans, but you have shown us the truth. One human can make a difference, even against creatures far stronger than us. Ethan nodded. We do what we must, that is all. As the shuttle docked with the starship, the crew disembarked. Leora walked beside Ethan, holding a small smile. She had learned an important lesson. Humans were not weak. They were clever, brave, and capable of extraordinary things. The alien guards followed, murmuring among themselves about the human apprentice who had outsmarted apex predators. They had learned something new. Humans could be leaders, protectors, and survivors in ways that no one had expected. Ethan looked at the stars as they returned to the starship. He felt calm, ready for whatever the galaxy might throw at him next. He had faced the deadliest predators of Varnock, guided a crew of aliens safely, and earned the trust of a princess. Princess Leora looked at him one last time. Thank you, Ethan Collins, she said softly. You have proven the strength of humans. You are brave, clever, and remarkable. Never forget that. Ethan smiled faintly. I will not forget, and humans will continue to endure even when others doubt us. The starship lifted off into the sky, leaving Varnock behind. The predators remained in the forest, outsmarted and cautious, while humans and aliens returned safely to the ship. The galaxy had witnessed one small human apprentice show that courage, cleverness, and calm could face any danger, even apex predators. And in that moment, Ethan Collins was no longer just an apprentice. He was a hero, a protector, and a symbol of human strength in a galaxy that had underestimated them for far too long.